Oh, being cold is the absolute worst thing in the world. When my toes are cold, a bitch is tight. That's how I feel. Anyways, welcome to our White Wall Review, y'all, with the whole Hood Girl team. I'm so excited for this. This is so fun.
I know it's the first one when we're all together.
I know. Can we? I mean, Steph, this is your first time on the mic, so you get to introduce yourself first.
No,
so let's go first.
I was actually hoping that everybody else would go.
All right, fine. Y'all know me. I'm Daughter of Contrast here. What up, y'all? We're here with our latest White Wall Review. We finally went out, and we went as a crew, which was so
safely with our masks on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you already know who it is. Some book for real. What up, guys? It's Vaughn. I'm here with the crew, feeling good. Y'all see the T-shirt?
Whoop.
Oh, I didn't even see it. Did you buy it?
I know I'm gonna be doing this like the whole time.
Wow, that's a Japanese exclusive, as she was telling us before.
Right?
Straight out of Japan.
Linens, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm Stephanie, and this is my first time. And yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm excited, and I can't wait to do this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun talk. And last but not least, our only man.
Yeah, I know. I'm Ed Carr. I'm the research guy, trying to get all the things we need for everything to go nice.
Yeah, and this show kind of melted your brain a little bit, so we're excited to talk about.
It did.
So we're gonna really just talk about our first impressions of the show, just talking about how we felt walking through, what we enjoyed, what we maybe did not enjoy as much. We're going to be real critical. Yes, we saw the Basquiat show at the Museum of Fine Arts. So we got to go writing the future in the hip hop generation. And it was an overall beautiful show, I'll say. I think we can say as a collective, we all enjoyed it. And when we first got to the Guns Gallery, walking down those steps there, the steps were already lined with like yellow tape to kind of like emulate the idea of the stairs of the subway in New York. And I feel like it was like, yeah, something's happening. I felt it. And then like there was the beautiful video on the wall, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling hip hop. Yeah. Like
I was definitely feeling excited. I mean, like the people were so nice. I mean, I guess because they have to be. I mean, I didn't expect them to be rude, but for each person that was like, oh, welcome, have a good time.
There's not many workers or even guests anymore. So I feel like they interacted with us more, which was nice.
And I think they also kind of knew, because when we were going in, Vaughn was like, "You don't even know how excited I am."
I was literally about to say that. I was like,
they were like, "We're excited for you."
I hope you have a good time. I was like, "You don't even know." Like to each person, I was like, "You don't even know. No, you don't even know. No, you don't even know. Like this is a lot." I mean, the shirt she's saying, "Oh, I mean, I don't know. I go through these phases of like when I'm like obsessed with an artist." I was once obsessed with Amber Rose, but that's another story. I was totally obsessed with him, and I was like, even when we were waiting, I was like, guys, do you know anything about him? Okay, well, here's what I know, and like I'll share it to the people. But one of the main things that really got me intrigued, alongside with his work, was just the fact that he died on my birthday, August 12th, and I was just like, oh, like. Immediately, I don't know, I'm just kind of like weird like that, where I'm like, oh, here's one life that like went away from us, and now here's a life, me, I came in.
Channeling of energies.
Yeah, right. you just kind of go. I've done that too with certain artists that I feel like I get really captured in, and then you just go in this hole, like this deep hole, and you just get as much information. And I've been there, so I totally get that. But yeah, we were just like, even throughout the gallery when we were walking around, we were, I remember Vaughn and I were like, hey, like, you know, we'd pick apart one of his art pieces. Like, do you think he knew that he was going to be a star? Like, do you think that, you know, he knew like how great he was, you know? And I think that's what I enjoyed about, like, even in the very beginning, is immediately we were like asking these questions.
Right.
So, yeah.
And the first gallery was beautiful. It was definitely more a mix of all the work from the group of artists, right? It is not just a Basquiat show. We have the work of Fab Five Freddy, Keith Haring, Futura, Ram LZ, Lady Pink. The list kind of goes on. There's a bit more, and we will continue to like hit those. But what I really enjoyed about that space is like when I first walked in going straight, there was a beautiful large painting on the wall. It was a good variety. There was a leather coat that has been like painted on. Then there was a fridge, a community fridge that was
I wanted to open it up so bad.
They called it the fun fridge. They called it the fun fridge, and I think it's funny that I even called it a community fridge, and I like mixed that up because I want to make the connection of the community fridges that have been popping up all over Boston. And I thought it was so interesting seeing like this fun fridge in a gallery space. It is a fridge that is literally just covered in tags by all the artists in the show, essentially showing that they've all been in this one space at one time. It's like they shared a space that had a fridge, and that means a lot to people. That means that they shared this kind of personal connection, and like kind of unpacking and seeing all these personal connections amongst those artists, I think made the show so much more beautiful, like kind of like illustrating their relationships. And all these artists have serious relationships with each other. Like they all have real love for each other. They all made portraits of each other. Like that means a lot. Like they collaborated a lot. Like to think about it like that and seeing all their work like that, I just really enjoyed the first gallery for sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
I just wanted to speak on like the portraits because one of the things I found funny, like after we've turned that corner and go into like another space, there's the big pieces, but I kind of went over to the corner to the little plates.
Yeah, little porcelain plates.
Yeah, the little porcelain plates. And I felt like that's where I felt like, oh, okay, like there's really collab because he like did these portraits of Fab Five Freddy, Lady Pink, and then I went to the one of Keith Haring. And like everyone else's looks kind of cool, you know, it's just their face or like, you know, very distinctive things like a hat or whatever. And then when it comes to Keith Haring's little plate, there's nothing but like dicks everywhere. Yeah. And I was just so confused. And it was like, wait a minute, didn't Basquiat like him? What's going on here?
Connection.
Right. Like because I never really like dug deep into Keith Haring either, but come to find out, you know, he was gay. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think showing his appreciation of dicks. And that's good.
That's totally okay. I think in the first gallery, what I was really drawn to was the leather jacket. I love seeing, I mean, I love art, but I love seeing, just being able to see clothes that artists have worn, because I'm like, that person was, it's so different than that person was in it as opposed to somebody just did this, which both very beautiful but very different. And I just love thinking like, you know, okay, just imagining him, he was in that jacket, and then reading about that jacket, they actually, I think it was it was one of his first shows. And they all like wrote on it. So it was all these different artists that wrote on his jacket. And it was just kind of like this, you know, the part of the community, you know, and I thought it was really dope. It was very similar to the whole fridge thing. You know, everybody was kind of like drawing on the jacket. And when I see clothes that these artists have worn, for me, they just seem almost like they're there in a way, you know, I know that they've, you know, he drew and he like painted and he did all this amazing artwork. But for me, seeing clothes resonates in a different way,
especially because he passed. I think that's true. Like if he was living, I don't think he would have that connection to his clothes in the same way. Like in some way, it feels like his soul might be still
definitely, yeah.
Like you felt like his aura a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
And it's kind of wild because, like, oh, sorry.
No.
Like, I was just gonna say it's kind of wild because, like, even like how they like all signed on that jacket. It's kind of like, so I don't know if you guys do it like in here, but like in high school when we're leaving high school, we would all sign on each other's shirts, and it's like, I mean, you can keep it, but like everybody, like I guess everybody who cared about you, and I went to a boarding school, so like everybody who cared, like who liked you or whatever, would sign on your shirt, and everybody was so excited to sign on the shirt, and it was kind of like the same things, like all these people that have love for you are like just like leaving their mark on your jacket, and it's like a big deal.
Right. So that community vibe was like there off rip.
Yep.
Like we got that from jump. And then going into the second gallery, like Vaughn talked about the plates a little bit, but honestly, that was the wine gallery that I walked in. I literally like was like, like I did like bitch, like let me catch my breath.
Wait a minute, let me not embarrass myself.
Yeah, right.
I don't think
the color palette alone was so emotional. How?
It was for me like just actually being in the presence of the artwork. I don't think like in all my years of going to a museum or art show, whatever, like I never felt as like, I guess, connected in a sense. I never felt.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, Vaughn, but I thought it was funny. The first thing you said to me when we first entered the first gallery, you said, "You think this is the original? Is this the original?" I was like, "Yeah, Vaughn, this is the original. Like this is that's what we're here for. We're here to see. This ain't no prank."
I don't want to.
And then she was like, "Oh shit!" Like it was pretty much like, "Oh shit, nigga, you real?" Like it just like popped off in your head. Like, all right, that like.
Maybe off of a fake, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to get all emotional off of a bootleg joint. Yo, I'm telling you, if anyone was looking at me, they would have thought, and I thought about it. You know, I thought about smoking a little something before, but I was like, you know, let me feel this, let me get into this. But honestly, people would have thought I was on drugs because I was like getting up close to it. Like I was like, oh, look at the strokes. Look at which one he did first. Look at the others. Like I was really into it, y'all. Like it was so emotional. And I do want to just mention the because it's in that first part, the piece that I really liked was, what is it called? The Six Crimes? Yes.
Oh, I was gonna mention that one too.
Yeah. Y'all. It's gonna be the episode image, so y'all will know.
Okay, cool. Well, that one, I mean, I won't read it, but the gist of it all is that, and I don't know if this happened before or after, but it was a depiction of 6 what can be male figures of heads, Black men, and you know their face is kind of, you know, disoriented in a way. And what I got from, well, the description says this, but I also want to be like, this is what I absorbed from it, is that he was really trying to kind of show how Black men are victims of police brutality. And one of his close artist friends, Michael Stewart, was, you know, a victim personally of that. And it kind of chucks me up a little bit, because it's like, this is what's still happened then, and it's still happening now. And it's like, you can't help but just put the faces that you've seen on TV, like, on this display. And then the fact that he felt like, oh, it could have been me, that just even like really brought it to me, like, dang, like he really felt it. Like, you know, it wasn't like he was like, oh, let me just do this for my friends or whatever. Like, he was really trying to like depict something. And it looks crazy at first, because like you would think that they look like mummies or some type of monster or something. But I mean, I automatically think about Emmett Till and like how they messed up his face, and he was like a mummy, you know, like his face was unrecognizable and stuff like that. So that's the piece that really, I had to be like, hold up. All right.
And honestly, after reading that description of how his friend and artist Stewart was killed by the police, and the colors, right? The colors of that painting is like this beautiful, like mints and blue tones. And I automatically thought of Amy Sherald's and her painting of Breonna Taylor, and showing how much that is like showing the victims of police brutality in such a different way, but using the same color palette, like the black and the gray of those faces. That's what Amy Sherald uses in her portraits. I don't like I just sat there in front of it, like scratching my head, like, what am I thinking? What's going on? Like, yo, like everything's connected. Was Amy thinking about this? Did Amy see this work? Like, cause she could have, like, that could have been a choice of why she chose the blues. And like, I just don't know. Like, I needed, like, all these artists are connected. Jesus, it's just.
And I think also like the color choice, I think it evokes this like sorrow feeling. It's almost, you know, I don't want to use the word gloomy, but it's not like a bright blue, you know, it has these very like cool tones. And I think, you know, in artwork, obviously, you know, the color is so important when trying to portray. I think it would have come off differently had he maybe used like red and orange. I think that would have maybe signified a little bit more like anger and just rage, right? Which he very much like depicts that in the painting. But I like the choice of colors because there's also this behind this, you know, feeling of like this is unjust. This is also like there's sadness behind it and the reality of what he was going through and what we're still going through, you know.
Right. Yeah. So that gallery was beautiful, hands down. I would say this is when the next gallery is when my interest, not of the art, started to go down, but my interest around the curation started to deplete. I don't know if I was the only one that felt that. And what I mean by that is like the first two galleries really felt well curated, well executed. I felt like the artwork was respected and presented in a beautiful way. The third gallery felt fairly underwhelming, even though that was the gallery with Keith Haring's large like columns there and pillars. And then I think it was Arrow's work or LA2's big painting there. And it was in this like they even used like a black light to kind of increase the neonness of all of that. And there's a lot of artifacts in the space, like sketchbooks by different artists, like A1 and Futura and Cool Core, Lee Quenez and Toxic. Make sure I get all the artist names in there. But yeah, they all had their work presented, and it just felt not less impressive, but there's something that just, and notice Basquiat's work is pretty much in every gallery. So it's not that I felt like it was missing something, and there's definitely not, I don't have a feeling that Basquiat is superior to these other artists by any means. I think they all bring something different to the show. It's clearly like framed as a Basquiat show, so that's why he dominates the show. Yeah. But I don't know if you all felt that
I will say that for that side, like I agreed, but like there was a Lady Pink like work. I think it's Yellow Buildings. Where it looks like the building is just like like falling apart. But then when I looked at it the first time, I was like, oh, it's like the building is falling. Then I look at it again, and then there's like a girl like hiding behind it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so it was
spooky.
Wow.
She's like,
yeah. The spirit of spooky season. But that was so cool because I looked at it like 3 different times, and 3 different times I saw 3 different things. I was like, whoa. Like,
yeah, that was definitely a wild painting. But the walls were also, I believe they're black in that space. So I don't know.
I would have enjoyed it had it been more like darker tones, like in that gallery space. I think me personally, I was very much attracted to the contrast of colors as opposed to like the white walls in the beginning. I personally really like that room with the black walls and the neon paintings. I thought that one was really dope. And then the one after it with the blue walls, I love the contrast of colors. It really reminded me of like the grittiness of the 80s in New York, and like them trying to kind of portray this like feel with the music and the videos going on.
Yeah, we didn't even mention the music.
Yeah.
This is like the first time being in like an actual museum gallery space with music playing, music that I actually want to listen to. Music. Yeah, appropriate for the actual show. It was actually hip hop and jazz, like very appropriate for the show. I didn't want to put my headphones in, so that was great. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I totally agree with you, Steph. The background. I'm not like pro white wall, even though this is a white wall review. Like, I definitely am into the black wall, and I think that there was one really beautiful Basquiat triptych that was on that black wall, and I can like share my screen to show you this yellow building image, Vaughn, so you can see it.
I might have missed that one.
Do you see that tiny little face here?
That's a yellow building?
Yeah, this is called Yellow Building.
Supposed to depict, yellow building. I mean, I know that it was Basquiat. We were all going there for Basquiat, and I originally thought that it was just going to be just his work. And just to kind of piggyback off of Edgar, I was like, I loved Lady Pink. Like I've seen Basquiat's work before, and I knew of his work, but Lady Pink, I think I may have seen it, but I just never like I didn't really learn about her until this time around, and I loved it. I loved that they really just showed all of the collaborations that Basquiat had, and the people that influenced him, and the people that really brought him to the scene, and like, all this, intertwined culture that he was in. And Lady Pink, for me, I loved her. She was like 16, 15 when she started in the scene. And I did some research on her, and she was in high school, and she was, I think grew up in Astoria, Queens, but her family was from Ecuador and from a migrant family. And a lot of her artwork really was, women like rights and immigrant rights. And it hits very, very close to home. And I loved her. I loved her stuff.
Yeah. I feel like she's the most intentionally political.
Yeah. And I think when I did my research on her whole thing was like, I'm the only woman on the scene. Like, I gotta represent. I gotta represent my community. I gotta represent women. I gotta represent the Latino community. And she just, and she like, she was already flying. I listened to some of her interviews, and she had already been flying with all these artists at the age of 17. She hadn't even graduated high school, and I was just floored by it. Like, I was very impressed. And even
she went to the art and design school in Brooklyn, I believe.
Did she? I didn't.
Yeah, I think that's where she went.
But her work was very different in the sense that I feel like she did graffiti, but in some of her artwork there was a very sensual way in which she did her artwork, and I very much appreciated that. So I liked her work a lot in the galleries.
Yeah. I think what I also enjoy about her particularly is just like how much she became a part of the community so quickly with a lot of these guys. Like, I know I believe she went to high school at A1, which was also one of the writers he has a lot of work in the show. So that's super cool. And but what I found really super interesting, which I didn't really know about, was Basquiat's sculpture work. I think that it was super interesting to see, and it was like just not unexpected for me. And I was looking at it a lot more, particularly like the helmet with the like with the hair that he put on top, or the like wooden boxes that were like painted all on the sides. So his sculpture work was really interesting to me. And I think like the last gallery we can talk about is the Ramel Z one, and then we can get to Rob Stills. But that was the last gallery. It was all black and neon lights or the blue lights again. Ramel Z was in the center. It felt like he was there again. Another person.
That's how you say his name?
Yeah, Ramel Z.
I'm like Ramel's.
Yeah. So Ramel Z, he's a character, and I talk a lot about him in the last White Wall review. So catch up on that for sure if you want to know more about him. But he has this costume for his persona, and they presented it in a mannequin, I guess. And that work was just really like, it's a lot. There's so many layers to it. Like I've seen it in images and like seeing it, like being able to see all the little layers and like there's little skeletons on it. Like he just put like random little trinkets. Like you could tell he was like a hoarder.
Yeah.
But like I really appreciate the sculpture aspect of graffiti that I feel like no one really talks about. And like Biased as a sculpture artist, I feel like it's just really cool to see.
I thought the helmet at first, I thought the helmet with hair was disgusting. I was like, why did he do that? Like, ew. And then again, knowing me, I went extra close to it. Like, is that his actual hair? And you know, I saw the curls and everything. I was like, okay, I think it is. Later on that night, I ended up watching like a little documentary, and you see him half bald, and all I could think about was like maybe that's the hair he put on the helmet, because he was wearing the helmet in the interview too, in the documentary or whatever. But I didn't think, I mean, I had to like look at it in another way though. Like I had to be like, okay, like maybe
I thought about the connection of like blackness and athletes and like kind of the idea that, yeah, we're wearing a uniform, but still the blackness is seen as like this powerful thing that's, you know, all encompassing. And like as Black athletes, you're seen as, you know, almost inhuman to other folks. The way we're able to dominate the fields and all in the courts and all that jazz. So that was my interpretation of it.
I have a feeling that, I mean, I didn't read the description, I should have, but I felt like this might have been like a random piece. I feel like you know, let me just cut my hair and just put it on here, and like this is just me. This is just me being protected.
I think it was definitely a lot more intentional than that, because I think that one of the things that he was trying to always say in his artwork was, you know, he was always say like, I don't like the way in which Black people are portrayed in media. And, you know, when you think of the history of Black people, you know, they have, you know, always been like a source of entertainment, like through sports, you know, comedy, all this stuff. And I think one of the things that he did was really try to humanize and try to show all the different aspects and the different sides of Black people, and, you know, just show that, you know, we're all you know, human. And you know, who's very much into trying to start that conversation of racism in different ways. I didn't read the helmet piece. I did look at it a lot, and it reminded me of that. Like, I think that he was trying to say something a little bit more than just, you know, here's my hair on a helmet, you know. But that's where it brought me, you know, he just learning and reading about everything that he was talking about with racism and the media. So
yeah,
I think that exhibit really did though. What was it, the fourth one? I think it really showed us how music and just everything is all connected. Like how for some album covers, people were doing art for it. You guys spoke about jackets and stuff, and I saw like Madonna's outfit, and I was just like, yo, why didn't she keep that?
Well, they were a couple. They dated.
I know.
Which is wild.
They had a thing.
He had a thing with a lot of things.
Yeah, they both had a thing with a lot of things.
Yeah. But to finish the show, I feel like we overall enjoyed it. There was some, you know, we felt like some of the work was really cared for. Other work may not have been as, you know, seen as like the central point of the show. And I think that the last space in particular, the family lobby, that's the last like as you exit the gallery, you see the work of Rob Stulls, and his work is obviously amazing. He created an image of pro-Black, Futura, Lady Pink, Ramel Z, Basquiat, of course, Lee Quintez, and yeah, that's the 6. So we took a little group photo in front of it too. Tag the artist always. But I think that was like a beautiful way to end the show. To have not only a local artist depict these artists, and in some ways I feel like he was able to honor them in such a more honest and beautiful way than even the show was able to do in some regard.
Job he had. I mean, to be able to collect the essence from each artist, because that's what they've done. They've been able to collect the essence.
And in black and white at that. All of it. And it's so clean. God damn, that shit was clean.
It really is, yeah.
That shit was too clean.
How did he do that? What did he do?
It was painted. I looked mad close. I was like, oh no, you did that? I thought it was printed.
Use some painter's tape. No way. He has to have.
Nah, because I looked at some of it and he put a little white on top of a black thing that he messed like slightly, like it was crazy. I didn't think it was like an actual print. Like I thought, I don't know what I thought it was.
I thought it was print. I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought he did digitally and then printed it, but
digital.
He painted it. That shit was beautiful.
Responsibility. He did that.
Yeah, that shit was wild. So overall, the show is beautiful. We recommend it to everyone. We definitely feel like we got the essence of community from the show. And
I think we're going until May 16th.
Yeah.
Right?
But make sure you get your tickets beforehand. We had to get our tickets 3 weeks in advance to get ours. And the month of October was all sold out when we went, and probably November might be sold out when this comes out. So look forward to December. All right. Thanks, y'all, for a Wait Well review. Peace.